Captain Vextar stared in horror at the small human juvenile sitting calmly in the cargo bay of their raiding vessel. The child, no more than 10 cycles old by human standards, looked completely unafraid despite being surrounded by 7-foot-tall Krillian pirates. Grax, Vextar's voice was deadly quiet. Explain to me why there is a human youngling on my ship. The subordinate Krillian shifted nervously, his scales changing color with anxiety. Captain, the settlement raid was successful. We gathered significant resources and this specimen for the slave markets. A specimen? Vextar's claws extended involuntarily. You brought a human child aboard my vessel? Do you have any idea what you've done? The other crew members began backing away as their captain's rage became apparent. In the corner, the human child watched with curious blue eyes, seemingly fascinated by the alien's distress rather than frightened. Sir, it's just one small human, Grax protested. They're valuable on the rim worlds. Valuable? Vextar roared. You've doomed us all. Every pirate, smuggler, and raider in 3 sectors knows the first rule of human contact. Never, ever harm their young. The child spoke up in perfect galactic standard, her voice cheerful and innocent. Are you space pirates? That's so cool. My dad told me stories about space adventures. Vextar felt his blood freeze. Your father. What does your father do, little one? He's in the Space Navy, she replied proudly. Admiral Thompson of the Terran Defense Fleet. He's probably looking for me right now. The cargo bay fell silent except for the sound of Krillian scales rattling with terror. Every crew member present knew that name. Admiral Marcus Thompson, the ghost of the Outer Rim, whose tactical brilliance had eliminated 3 major pirate cartels single-handedly. Captain, the ship's sensor operator called over the intercom, his voice cracking with panic. I'm reading massive hyperspace signatures approaching. Multiple vessels. Unknown configuration. Vextar closed his eyes. How many? I count 47 ships, sir. No, wait, more are arriving. 73. 112. Sir, they keep coming. The little girl clapped her hands with delight. Daddy always brings friends when he travels. Through the viewport, the Krillian crew watched in growing horror as human vessels emerged from hyperspace like an unstoppable tide. Sleek destroyers, massive battlecruisers, and carrier ships that dwarfed any pirate vessel ever built. Sir, we're receiving a transmission, the communications officer reported, his voice barely a whisper. The main screen activated, showing a human male in naval uniform. His face was calm, but his eyes held the promise of absolute destruction. This is Admiral Marcus Thompson of the Terran Defense Fleet, he said with deadly quiet precision. You have something that belongs to me. Vextar swallowed hard. Admiral Thompson, this is Captain Vextar of the independent vessel Nightmare's Edge. There has been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Captain. You took my daughter. The Admiral's voice remained conversational, but something in his tone made every Krillian present want to flee. I'm here to collect her. Daddy! The little girl called out, waving at the screen. These are space pirates. They're not very scary, though. Admiral Thompson's expression softened momentarily as he saw his daughter, then hardened again as he looked at her captors. Emma, are you hurt? Did they harm you in any way? Nope. They gave me juice and let me see their spaceship. It's not as nice as yours, though. The Admiral nodded slowly. I see. Captain Vextar, you have exactly 60 seconds to return my daughter to me unharmed, or I demonstrate why humans don't negotiate with those who threaten our children. Vextar looked at his tactical display. The human fleet had them surrounded completely. Weapons that could vaporize his ship were trained on them from every direction. Sir, his tactical officer whispered, our weapons are useless against their shields. We couldn't scratch their smallest escort vessel. 45 seconds, Captain, Admiral Thompson announced calmly. Wait, Vextar called out desperately. We return her immediately. No harm, no demands. Please, we didn't know. 30 seconds. The Krillian captain grabbed his communicator. Prepare the shuttle. Return the human child immediately. But Captain, Grax protested, the slave markets would pay. Vextar backhanded the subordinate with enough force to send him sprawling. You fool! There are no markets if we're all dead. As the shuttle launched with little Emma aboard, safely returning to her father's flagship, Vextar waited for the human response. The fleet remained in position, weapons still trained on his ship. Admiral, he called out hesitantly, your daughter is safe. Surely we can. Captain Vextar, Admiral Thompson interrupted, his voice now carrying the weight of absolute authority. Spread the word through every pirate haven, smuggler port, and raider base in the sector. Any being who harms a human child will face the entire Terran defense fleet. The transmission ended, and the human ships began disappearing back into hyperspace as quickly as they had arrived. Vextar collapsed into his command chair, scales still rattling with residual terror. In 40 years of piracy, he had never been so close to complete annihilation. Sir, his communications officer called softly. Message coming in from the Bloodfang cartel, the Vortex Raiders, and the Crimson Syndicate. What do they want? They're asking if the rumors are true, if we actually took a human child. Vextar closed his eyes. Tell them yes, and tell them why we're still alive. The response would spread through the criminal underworld within hours. Touching a human child meant facing not just one ship, not just one fleet, but the entire human species united in righteous fury. Some lessons the galaxy learned were worth teaching only once.